which is putting stress on you also. And in addition, we also have been in a tough economy, so we are having to retrain workers at the same time. It puts a lot of stress on our entire community college system, but particularly here at Central Carolina. But you're doing a wonderful job in handling that population explosion. For the students that are here today, and I know there's some business partners out there that are investing in public-private partnerships, and we appreciate that investment. But I want you to know that you are a part of the best community college in the United States of America. And I say that with some objectivity. We are the third largest community college system in the United States of America, second only to California and Texas, which are obviously much larger states. But we are by far the most accessible community college. We like to say that everyone in North Carolina is within 30 minutes of a community college campus. We also have one of the least tuitions in the United States of America, meaning it's very affordable. Now, that is really part of the tradition that we have had in North Carolina, and people should never lose sight of this. The very first act of the North Carolina legislature was to create a public university system. Never discount that. That is a tremendous legacy that we have, because there were great private universities in the United States. There was Harvard and Princeton and William and Mary, great schools. But to go there, you had to be landed gentry. That's another way to say you had to be rich. The first act North Carolina had is to say, if you've got the talent, if you've got the ability, my goodness, you ought to have the opportunity to get a higher education and improve yourself. This community college system is all about that, because in the 1960s, Terry Sanford had a vision, saying, you know, we ought to have that affordability and accessibility throughout North Carolina. We've got 16 universities in North Carolina today. We ought to develop a community college system. And it's going to take some money. He actually proposed a tax, and there were a lot of people that said, we don't need to raise taxes to do that. If students want to go to the university, that's fine. We've already invested in those. And as far as workforce training, on-the-job training, that's what companies do. We don't need a community college. But I think every audience I speak to today, I think they support this community college system because of its affordability, because of its accessibility, because of job retraining. In fact, most places I go, I will say, how many of you, your wife, your children, or your grandchildren have gone to a community college for some type of course? It might have been for a technical degree, an associate's degree. It might be for continuing education. But how many have had that in your family? Almost every hand goes up. It has been a great vision for North Carolina. So what I want the students here to know, and those who partner with this great community college, is that you really are part of something great, and you're part of the envy of the rest of the nation. Now, I was asked to speak a little bit about what's the future of the community college system. That is a great, great question. The great Yogi Berra, many of you are old enough to remember Yogi Berra, the great catcher for the New York Yankees. Now, Yogi always had a way with words, but one of his sayings was, you know, the future isn't what it used to be. Well, that's true. The future isn't what it used to be. We are in a global economy. I'm from an area that was very heavily invested in manufacturing. And North Carolina was heavily invested in manufacturing. And we still have great manufacturing in this state, and it will not go away. But it will never be 38% of our economy, in my opinion, as it was. It's about 13 to 15% of our economy now. And that's consistent with other states. We were heavily invested in manufacturing. The world is changing. China and India are competing with us, you know, to a great degree. And it's not just in manufacturing. People need to realize this. It's not just in manufacturing. We are losing accounting jobs, engineering jobs, radiologist jobs to China and India. China will graduate 350,000 engineers next year. India 75,000. Excuse me, China's 350. India's about 150, I think, and we're 75,000 in the United States. So we've got to step up our game. We've got to teach differently, and I think this will happen in the community college. Use technology more. With the internet and